Alright, I'm going to go into details about Dede. Before I do, though, I'd like to put this question up front because I know a lot of people probably won't watch this whole video. But let me ask you this. This is the big question about Dede. Why did she not contact anybody that night? That's the question. She just heard this dastardly thing happen to her boyfriend. She can't reconnect to him. What does she do? Does she contact any of his friends? No. I know she didn't contact any of his friends because I looked at his friends' tweets and we can see that none of them know until the following day, early afternoon. So we know that she didn't contact any of his friends. We know that they find out through the family. How does the family find out? The family finds out by Tracy Martin the next morning, at early morning, calling the missing persons number, and that gets him in contact with police, who in turn drive out to his house, and he identifies Trayvon through photos there. So she didn't contact the friends, she didn't contact the family. Well, you might say, well, maybe she didn't know any of them. Well, I thought I heard a report that she did know Sabrina Fulton, but let's just say, for the sake of argument, that this reported Dede doesn't know any of her friends, any of Trayvon's friends, rather, or any of Trayvon's family, or how to get into contact with any of them at all. Oh, I assume that she knows where at least he's staying, right? At least the town? Well, why did she not contact police? There's been no report of her contacting police. She didn't. Right after she couldn't connect to her boyfriend after hearing such dastardly things, she didn't call police and say, I think my boyfriend's in trouble. Can you please, I know he's living in this area, can you go there and see? She doesn't do any of that. At least not that we know of, because there's been no report of it. You might say, well, who knows, right? Who knows what she did. Well, okay, well, how about the next day? Not the next day, even? She doesn't try to get in contact with anybody? She still can't get in contact with her boyfriend? She's not wondering what might have happened? Well, how about when she finds out and she knows her boyfriend is dead? Does she tell anybody then? Oh my God, I heard him on the phone. I think I know what might have happened, blah, blah, blah. No, that doesn't happen either. She's reportedly supposed to be going to the wake, but is unable because she's so devastated by this. Does she contact anybody then? She knows where the wake is at, obviously, so she must have the number to there to get in contact with the family or friends. Does she do that? No, she doesn't do that. I suppose she must have went to the funeral. She got better, I guess, and was able to go to the funeral. There are his friends and family. Does she mention anything then? No. Why? Why did she not, at any of those times, before any media picks up on any of all this, that night? There was a little local media report the next day, but I think we know where we're going with this. We know that there's no pressure to stay out of this. Why did she choose, if she did in fact hear such a dastardly thing, not contact anybody? Not tell anybody? Nothing. I have my couple of theories as to why, but I want to know what you think. Alright, so if you don't know the details, let me go into the details of what happened here. Okay, I'm going to try to give the quick and dirty version for the impatient folks, and how you are. So let's just say that Trayvon is going through the main gate here, the sidewalk gate, and as reported, he is going to take some cover from the rain and goes to the clubhouse. George is reported as going to Target, sees Trayvon hanging around the clubhouse. It's late February, it's cold, it's night, the clubhouse is probably cold, wondering what Trayvon's doing hanging around a clubhouse, so he checks him out, slows down, checks him out. Trayvon perhaps sees that and walks down behind the trees there, by the mailboxes. George wants to get a better look-see, so he looks down, goes down here to Twin Trees, sees Trayvon there, wants to get a little further away from him, so drives up here and parks right here, let's say. Okay? At this point, we pick up Deedee's story. She says that Trayvon wants to go get a look-see inside the car. What do you know? Just like George has stated that Trayvon looks to be going around his car, or what did he say, circling his car, or something to that effect. Well, Dede says that Trayvon is trying to get a look in the car, so perhaps he did like a semicircle around the car, and at that point starts walking away. But also at that same time, we hear a gear shift in George's car, and we know he's parked down here somewheres. So perhaps at that same time, when Trayvon kind of circles around George's car, he puts it in gear and pulls up a ways to get away from Trayvon. Trayvon at the same time is walking down this path here. Given the time frame, I assume that he's right around here when George states to the operator he's running. This is corroborated now by DeeDee's story that says that Trayvon plans to try to get away from George. So he runs around down this path here, I believe, as stated in other videos. George sees that, states he runs, takes him about 8 seconds or so to get out of his car, close the door, and to start walking down that same path. Well, let's give the time here, okay? By the time George reaches this same point, I believe, is about 30 seconds. So, going at, let's just say 5 meters per second, Trayvon running from here. Well, if Trayvon started running from here at 5 meters per second, he could have easily made it home in less than 30 seconds. Even before George makes it to this point and states he ran, as if Trayvon is gone. That's one scenario and one of the big questions that come out of this. He could have made it home. He possibly even did make it home. We don't know. But according to DeeDee's story, Trayvon states to her that he believes he lost the man. He lost George. He believes he lost him. Now, it's kind of hard to believe that just running around that corner like that Trayvon would think, well, he lost the man. It's kind of hard to believe that. So we can put out different scenarios. We could say, well, what's more than likely? He could have ran down through here, and even up through here, and down here even. Put in any scenario you want, right? Down here, through here, down there, through here. I mean, you can put in all these scenarios, because the big question here is now, this is where Dede states, Trayvon says, I believe I lost him. Well, we know that George lost him almost immediately from even when he was sitting in his truck, because it was pretty quick by the time Trayvon got around that corner. So, we know that George, at least for the next minute and a half after that, he's just kind of meandering about. Sounds like he's probably even knocking on this back door here. We'll look into that later as well. But the big problem is, after Trayvon loses him, he states that he's going to walk now. And Dede states that Trayvon says he's going to walk now. Okay, he's going to walk now. But the man is behind him again. So what happened there? George found him and suddenly he's behind Trayvon over here? Or over here? Or over here? Well, that might sound believable, except for the fact that the crime scene is over here. Okay? Dede states that Trayvon says the man is behind him and he's just gonna walk, but changes his mind and approaches George and says, "What are you following me for?" Well, if that happened, then how does the crime scene happen? If that happened over here, how does it end up over here? See, something's wrong with this story from Dede. First things first, we don't have much on her. All we have really, as far as I'm aware, is an ABC report, very short news report on her, where we can actually hear her own words. Now that comes from the family's attorney, the race merchant Crump, where he had an interview with her and had recorded her and played ABC might have been there, but he played like a 1-minute recording of her talking, and he's very protective of her and asked the media to not just stay away from her, because, well, geez, I can't control the story if you actually talk to her, so I have to tell you what she says. So we have the ABC report of just a minute of her talking, saying very little, but the majority of this comes from a CNN interview with him, of which I'll read from some of the transcript to get the story about what happened, if you don't know. And we're going to go over some of this, and I'm going to interject as we go along. Okay, So Crump starts, that Mr. Martin, Tracy Martin, on Sunday evening, that would be March 18th, was working with his cell phone account trying to figure out Trayvon's password. As he looked into it, he saw that the last person Trayvon was talking to, and so he called that person, and it was some young lady that they refer to as Dede now. So he told Crump that they had been talking on the phone all day, something like 400 minutes. And even as he went from home all the way to the 7-Eleven and even all the way back through the complex, even hearing everything that happened, blah, 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 okay? So they describe her as that she was really, really a close friend, a close personal friend of Trayvon, and that they were dating. In fact, she couldn't even go to his wake, that she was so sick her mother had to take her to the hospital. She spent the night in the hospital. This was I think about March 1st or so. The funeral was on March 3rd, I believe. So there should be hospital records verifying that, by the way. So I'd like to see those. And that she is so traumatized beyond anything that you can imagine that she doesn't contact or tell anybody about the conversation. So he goes on to state that Trayvon leaves the 7-Eleven, that Trayvon leaves home to go buy some snacks before the NBA All-Star game is about to start. I'd like to know what time he left, because there's a lot of discrepancy there about what time he actually left. And was he seen on any possible cameras in the complex that might have been time-stamped as well? He goes on to say that his little brother asked for him to bring some Skittles back and something to drink. Now, the way he phrases this sentence, Crump, he says it in a way that makes me think that, well, Trayvon was going to go out, and that as Trayvon was going out, his little brother asked him to get something from, some Skittles and iced tea. I'm not really certain there. It seems like he goes on to say, leaves to go to the store to get some snacks before the All-Star game is about to start. New sentence. His little stepbrother asked for him to bring some Skittles and back something to drink. Well, okay, so was he going there to also get something for himself? Was he going there solely on the brother's request? Seems a little odd to be bearing the weather to walk for a half hour to get your little brother some tea and Skittles, but okay. What I want to know, though, are the tea and Skittles, were those found at the crime scene? That's what I want to know. And was anything else found at the crime scene along with that he may have purchased from 7-Eleven? So he says that Trayvon, he came out from the store, and he said that it was starting to rain. Now, the weather for that day shows overcast and light rain throughout the day, with some heavy rain reported at around 10:30 at night. But also, it's not like it's the weather for that exact area for that exact time or anything like that, so it could be possible that it did start raining. Some cameras might be able to, show that fact if it was raining or something when he's coming out of the store. Regardless, he says that he was going to try to make it home before it rained. So that says to me that the way he phrases that is that he's going to try to hurry home. And if we look at the path home, there's no place to start and hide under the rain as he goes home. You just are out in the open there, so he just has to go. So it seems to me like he's going to hurry up to get home, which means that he should make it home in less than 15 minutes. Now, the problem here is that we have one report of when he was at the 7-Eleven, and this comes direct from Walgreens, and they state that there is an African American male in a gray hoodie purchasing Skittles and tea between the times of 6 and 6:30. See, so if he had left at a couple minutes after 6 from 7-Eleven, he should have been home by 6:15. The problem there is that George called at 7:09. So what the heck's going on there? We got like a 45-minute at least discrepancy in time there somehow. Well, regardless, so even if he left at 6:30, he'd still make it home by 6:45, and George calls at 7:09. That's over 20 minutes later. What's going on here? So, Crump goes on to state that Dede states that Trayvon tells her that it's starting to rain hard, and that he runs into the apartment complex, and runs to the first building that he sees to try to get out of the rain. So again here, cameras, if he ran through the front gate, there is a camera there that is pointing down towards the gate and what looks to be pointing towards the clubhouse. But the way Crump phrases this here is that he just states building. So I'm assuming it's the clubhouse at this point. And then he states, well, he's trying to get shelter, so he's trying to get out of the rain. Later in here he says that, so he stands under the apartment building. So now the way he phrases that, I'm thinking, well, is he right up against somebody else's house at this point? Or is it the clubhouse? I don't know. I'm thinking, is there an overhang on the townhomes to get out of the rain? From the look of the townhomes, that doesn't appear to be the case. And if he is in fact hanging around townhomes like that, I mean, can you really blame someone for thinking that he looks suspicious? I don't know. I don't think we can blame somebody for thinking that. Now, after a few minutes, the rain kind of dies down, she says, and that he then goes. He then goes. And he has his hoodie on because it's raining. The only problem with that statement is that from the ABC video clip, we hear Dede state that he says this man is watching him, so he put his hoodie on. Well, okay, a small discrepancy there, but there's much bigger questions to be had, I say. So he goes back to walking, and he goes back to talking her again. You'll see the phone call when it comes in at 6:54, Crump says. He then says, I think this dude is following me. And she talks about how he, Trayvon, kind of slows down, and he's trying to look in the car. He's trying to look in the car, like, she says. That seems to corroborate George Zimmerman's statement that was reported the other day of Trayvon walking around his car. She seems to corroborate that fact. As she's talking to Trayvon, he tells her that he slows down and is trying to look in the car. And he says, I think this dude is following me. And she tells him, baby, be careful. Just run home. She tells him that.
Sanford Police Department. Line is being recorded. Sean.
Hey, we've had some break-ins in my neighborhood, and there's a real suspicious guy. It's Retrieve View Circle. The best address I can give you is 111 Retrieve View Circle. This guy looks like he's up to no good, or he's on drugs or something. It's raining, and he's just walking around looking about.
Okay, and this guy, is he white, black, or Hispanic?
He looks black.
Did you see what he was wearing?
Yeah, a dark hoodie, like a gray hoodie, and either jeans or sweatpants and white tennis shoes. He's here now. He was just staring.
Oh, he's just walking around the area?
At all the houses.
Okay.
And now he's just staring at me.
Okay, and so it's 1111 Retrieve You or 111?
That's the clubhouse.
That's the clubhouse. Do you know what he's near the clubhouse right now?
Yeah, now he's coming towards me.
Okay.
This guy's hand in his waistband. Yeah, he's a black male.
Okay. How old would you say he
He's
was?
got a button on his shirt. Late teens.
Late teens, okay.
Something's wrong with him. Yeah. He's coming to check me out. He's got something in his hands. I don't know what his deal is.
Okay, just let me know if he does anything,
over here.
Yeah, we got him on the way. Just let me know if this guy does anything else.
Okay.
So she says that Trayvon is going to try to lose him now, and that he's running to try to lose him. He tells her, I think I lost him. So now, after he thinks he lost George, he starts walking, and then she says that he says very simply, oh, he's right behind me. He's right behind me again. Now I have to ask, this is a really big problem here, folks. How is that possible?
Don't turn and make a left. Shit, he's running.
He's running? Which way is he running?
Down towards the other entrance of the neighborhood.
Okay. Which entrance is that he's heading towards?
The back entrance.
Are you following him?
Yeah.
Okay, we don't need you to do that.
Okay.
Alright, sir, what is your name?
George. He ran.
Alright, George, what's your last name?
First, where did Trayvon go for him to think that he lost George? It's hard to believe that he ran just around that little corner there, and from just that moment thinks, oh, I lost him. I mean, he's not that far away from George at that point. So he can't think from there that he lost George. He must have ran much further away, and maybe around some other corners, to even begin to think, oh, you must have lost the guy, right? Well, we know that George states at 7:11 and 43 seconds in his phone call that Trayvon is running. And then 30 seconds later at 7:12 and 11 seconds he states to the operator he ran, as if he's gone. So we know that George lost sight of him right away, right after Trayvon starts running. We don't know exactly what time when Trayvon thinks he's lost George, but he tells his girlfriend, yeah, I lost him, so now I'm just going to start walking. So we know that Trayvon has ran some distance. He believes he's lost George, and now he's going to start walking, but wait a minute, he's right behind me again. How is that possible? Is George Superman or clairvoyant? He knows where Trayvon is, and he's able to zoom to the... It just doesn't make any sense. This is a big problem in the story here, folks. And so at that point, she says, run. And he says, I'm not going to run. I'm going to walk fast, right? At that point, she says, Trayvon, this is the other big thing. So Trayvon reports to her, oh, he's right behind me again. She says, run. He says, I'm not going to run. I'm going to walk fast. But he seems to change his mind. He's not going to walk anywhere except towards George. Because she says that she hears Trayvon say to George, why are you following me? So he wasn't going to walk away from George. So he decides to instead to approach George and say this to him. Okay. So then Crump says, this is his words, that she says she hears the other boy say, what are you doing around here? And again Trayvon says, what are you following more? And that's when she says again, he said, what are you doing around here? Trayvon is pushed. The reason she concludes because his voice changes like something interrupts his speech. The other thing she believes, the earplug fell out of his ear. She can hear faint noises, but no longer has the contact. She hears an altercation going on, and she says, then suddenly somebody must have hit the phone and it went out because that's the last she hears. And she tries to contact him again and can't. So we know that this happens before 7:16 because that's how long the T-Mobile time puts it, as 4 minutes from 7:12 to 7:06, starting at 7:12, lasting 4 minutes. So we know the latest it had to be was 7:15 and 59 seconds.
Don't turn and make a left. Shit, he's running.
He's running? Which way is he running?
Down towards the other entrance of the neighborhood.
Okay. Which entrance is that he's heading towards?
The back entrance.
Are you following him?
Yeah.
Okay, we don't need you to do that.
Okay.
Alright, sir, what is your name?
George. He ran.
Alright, George, what's your last name?
Zimmerman.
And George, what's the phone number you're calling from?
407-435-2400.
Alright, George, we do have him on the way. Do you want to meet with the officer when they get out there?
Yeah.
Alright, where are you going to meet with them at?
If they come in through the gate, tell them to go straight past the clubhouse and straight past the clubhouse and make a left. And then they go past the mailboxes. You'll see my truck.
Okay, what address are you parked in front of?
I don't know. It's a cut through, so I don't know the address.
Okay, do you live in the area?
Yeah.
What's your apartment number?
It's a home. It's 1950. Oh, crap. I don't want to give it out loud. I don't know where this kid is.
Okay, do you want to just meet with him right near the mailboxes, then?
Yeah, that's fine.
All right, George, I'll let him know to meet you with you out there, okay?
Actually, could you have him call me and I'll tell him where I'm at?
Okay, yeah, that's no problem.
You need my number or you got it?
Yeah, I got it. It's 407-435-2400.
Yeah, you got it.
Okay, no problem. I'll let them know to call you when they're in the area.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
There's many other scenarios. Perhaps Trayvon ran from there and hid behind a fence right there where he can actually see George, possibly. The problem is that seems to go against what Dede says. I mean, for him to think that he's going to run and try to lose George and to only get that far, again, just seems unlikely that he would think he would lose George just by going that far. Other scenarios include Trayvon going down here and actually walking back up this way. That seems unlikely to me. I mean, if you're afraid of someone, you're trying to get away from them, why are you walking back towards them like that? But let's say that he did. Perhaps it's a fact that George at the same time was heading this way to get an address off of this building here, because that's where he was at. So Trayvon then walked a whole big circle like that, was walking back down here, and about that same time he was making his way down here, George was in fact walking back to his truck, which would go with what Dede said about Trayvon saying that, oh, he's behind me again. So that's, of course, a possibility. Many other scenarios that can work out that way, where somehow Trayvon, for whatever reason, makes his way back up to here. Okay, so a lot has been said about Dede on this website here, and another website I'll leave you to discuss that. I'll just somewhat try to quickly sum up some of this in regards to why they believe they found the Dede on Twitter, and this is her, and this is one of the reasons why is because of this conversation here. You see the date, February 24th, just 2 days before, nearly just less than 48 hours before, really, and she's on the phone with Trayvon Martin, no limit nigga, and we go through that. She says she's on the phone with him, and that she's tweeting here at the same time. She says, you promised me you would never change. If I treated you this way, the way you treat me, I promise you wouldn't stick around the way I do. I'm about to hang up. Mad. Just got off the phone a couple hours there later. And so that's one of the reasons why they believe that this is the actual Dede that is being talked about, who was on the phone with Trayvon Martin at the time of the shooting. And the big problem is, though, with her is that, well, they show a lot more tweets than this, but we can see here on the 26th, she's watching the NBA All-Star Game at 6:40 p.m. and it's 8:07. Supposedly just had this horrible experience hearing her boyfriend get followed and can't get a hold of him, and now what is she doing? Well, she's just chilling, obviously, and wants to finish watching the game. See, it's 9:24 at night, and she goes to bed. Wakes up the next morning. Good morning. Today feel like a good day. So we got a problem here, right? I mean, if this is in fact the Dede that had the conversation and she heard this horrible thing go down, what the hell's going on here? Right? So it leaves us with this with two scenarios, I believe. Either one, she didn't quite hear what is being reported. See, I believe there was actually a conversation going on. I just don't believe it was the conversation that's being reported by Crump and company and what she has said on ABC. A couple of scenarios may be, well, that Trayvon Martin said he did in fact lose the guy, and that was it, and she just didn't think any much more of it. That would explain why. Either that would explain this person's behavior if this was in fact a Dede, and it would also explain what I talked about earlier in this video about how she didn't tell anybody anything until she was faced with it 3 weeks later. It was amazing. So that would explain that. The other possible scenario is that, well, maybe what Trayvon was pissed off and was going to go take care of that cracker, and she knew that. And then when it went badly and she found out it went badly, she clammed up because she knew something that would make Trayvon look bad, so she just didn't say anything after that point. Once it was found out through Trayvon Martin's father, she told her story to them, and they're like, oh no, you can't be saying that. We'll fix this story up a little bit. Quite possibly could happen that way. So we could see here, even in the early afternoon, she still hasn't found out yet. It wasn't until she posts this, until 5:44 p.m., where she seems to now find out best friend will be missed. So, now, here's the thing. I know that this is not the girlfriend of Trayvon Martin, because one of his good friends, it seems to be right here, says, and pay attention to the date here, March 22nd, and this is my little addition to that site. He says here that Trey must have had two hoes, because that girlfriend we know he went with ain't know he died until a week after. So what could he possibly be talking about there? Well, I speculate, given the date. You see, the Dede story broke on March 20th, and as you can see here the date, March 22nd, I believe that this person has picked up on the story, has saw the story on YouTube or the news or whatever, talking about this Dede and how it's his girlfriend and how she's talked to Trayvon the night he died, and he's like, well, who the fuck is that? Because we know his girlfriend didn't actually know. I think he's kind of exaggerating here a bit about saying a week after. And it's probably more just a couple days, a few days at the most, that his real girlfriend found out. So we know it's not his girlfriend. So who is she? And it seems like he's talking about who they're talking about on the news. He doesn't know who she is. So what's going on here, right? This story just gets deeper and deeper into the madness. Well, as you can see here, she's talking about that night, that evening, this 27th, he got shot, Trayvon got shot, and she's going to school. She continues going to school. And you figure if somebody's devastated, they wouldn't be going to school. Getting her hair done that weekend of the funeral. It's March 2nd. Interesting. So that was from... They go into a lot more in the conservative treehouse, and other people talk about it more on other sites I'll give you as well. Okay, so I think I've gone on plenty of detail here about Dede there's plenty more to read about, and I'll talk about more later. It depends on what comes up with questions, comments, or any new details that might come out. So that's it for now. I'll just leave you with the entire scenario once again at the end of this here. So, all right, that's it for now. Peace out, my brothers, sisters, and everyone in between.
Sanford Police Department. Lines being recorded. Sean.
Hey, we've had some break-ins in my neighborhood, and there's a real suspicious guy. It's Retrieveview Circle. The best address I can give you is 111 Retrieveview Circle. This guy looks like he's up to no good, or he's on drugs or something. It's raining, and he's just walking around looking about.
Okay, and this guy, is he white, black, or Hispanic?
He looks black.
Did you see what he was wearing?
Yeah, a dark hoodie, like a gray hoodie, and either jeans or sweatpants and white tennis shoes. He's here now. He was just staring.
Oh, he's just walking around the area?
At all the houses.
Okay.
Now he's just staring at me.
Okay, and he said it's 1111 Retrieveview or 111?
That's the clubhouse.
That's the clubhouse. Do you know what he's near the clubhouse right now?
Yeah, now he's coming towards me.
Okay.
He's got his hand in his waistband. Yeah, he's a black male.
Okay. How old would you say he looks?
He's got a button on his shirt. Late teens.
Late teens, okay.
Something's wrong with him. Yeah. He's coming to check me out. He's got something in his hands. I don't know what his deal is.
Okay, just let me know if he does anything, okay?
Over here.
Yeah, we got him on the way. Just let me know if this guy does anything else.
Okay. These assholes, they always get away. Yeah. When you come to the clubhouse, you come straight in and make a left. Actually, you would go past the clubhouse.
Okay, it says on the left-hand side from the clubhouse?
No, you go in straight through the entrance, and then you make a left. Yeah, you go straight in, don't turn and make a left. Shit, he's running.
He's running? Which way is he running?
Down towards the other entrance of the neighborhood.
Okay, which entrance is that he's heading towards?
The back entrance.
Are you following him?
Yeah.
Okay, we don't need you to do that.
Okay.
All right, sir, what is your name?
George. He ran.
All right, George, what's your last name?
Zimmerman.
And George, what's the phone number you're calling from?
407-435-2400.
All right, George, we do have them on the way. Do you want to meet with the officer when they get out there?
Yeah.
All right, where are you going to meet with them at?
If they come in through the gate, tell them to go straight past the clubhouse and make a left. And then they go past the mailboxes. You'll see my truck.
Okay, what address are you parked in front of?
I don't know. It's a cut-through, so I don't know the address.
Okay, do you live in the area?
Yeah.
What's your apartment number?
It's a home. It's 1950. Oh, crap. I don't want to give it out loud. I don't know where this kid is.
Okay, do you want to just meet with them right near the mailboxes, then?
Yeah, that's fine.
All right, George, I'll let him know to meet you with you out there, okay?
Actually, could you have him call me, and I'll tell him where I'm at?
Okay, yeah, that's no problem.
You need my number, or you got it?
Yeah, I got it. It's 407-435-2400.
Yeah, you got it.
Okay, no problem. I'll let them know to call you when they're in the area.
Thanks.
You're welcome.